Hello everybody, I'm Tiffany with The Sit Show, and today I'm going to be using a multitude of dogs. To start with, I have Louie next to me on this tote, and I have Asher on a cot in the background. In some of my previous videos, people have asked about how to keep their dogs in a set area for training, and we use the place command. Some people might call it the kennel command. We use the command when we want our dogs out, but not underfoot. Examples of this would be for better door manners. It would be, I don't want my dog to have to be in the kennel all of the time, but I know if he's wandering in the house, he might get into something. So I could use a place command to put the dog short term while I'm busy doing something else. So to start with, what I want to talk about is Louie is on the budget device. This is simply a tote that you can get at any big box hardware store, and for a smaller dog, these work fantastic. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. The green platform next to me was made by somebody out of wood and PVC pipe, and I do not think the materials cost that much money. And then you can figure out how big you want it to be, how high you need it to be for what you're doing. My preferred items for me personally, because I do this for a living, are the Cato boards and the climbs. The reason I like the climb is the legs come off for transporting if I want to do any of this work away from home. And then in the home, I use an actual cot. All of the place items that we are using are raised surfaces. They are not a rug. They are not a dog bed that kind of melts into the floor. I want something the dog has to step up onto to understand the exercise, and then they understand the consequence if they break the action because they've stepped off of it. In time with a lot of training, you could probably use a rug or use a dog bed or anything like that, but for clarity for the newly training dog or person, I think a raised surface serves people and dogs best. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna move some of this clutter out of the way, and then we're gonna talk about how we start the process. At the very beginning stages of place training, I have some treats in my hand. I have the item I'm gonna be using for place, and I have my dog on a leash so I can restrict where he or she is going. This is Walter. He is about a 4-month-old doodle, and he has had a little bit of exposure to this, so he's confident jumping up onto this platform. So when we are starting, these are the words that I use. Whatever command you are going to use for loading, whether it's kennel or place or go to your bed, you can use whatever word you want, just be consistent. Good means keep doing what you're doing, I like it. And then my release word, okay, you can jump off your bed. So with Walter, what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to bring him over to me. Walter, kennel, good boy. And I'm going to pay on this surface. I want the dog to think, basically, this thing grows treats. So any praise, any petting, any treating is happening up here. Once I release the dog off of here, I don't give any more treats or much praise because I'm trying to build value for this. Okay. Walter. Cool. I'm again going to pay it on the place, and this will make sense as we go when I start to add distance, going away from him. Okay. Walter, good boy. So all we're doing is really short little mini sessions with this guy to get him to understand being up here is where all the good things happen. Walter, okay. Good boy. When I start to introduce duration of how long I want him to stay on there, I'll stay close and I'll intermittently pay him for staying up here. So he's gonna get another treat. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. Walter. Walter, kennel. This time I'm gonna wait a little bit longer before I pay him. And literally, you would do this just a couple of minutes a day for the first couple of days you do it, but it goes quickly. The dog understands it pretty quick. So he's been up here for a bit. I'm gonna pay him again. Good boy. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about, since he has had some understanding, what a correction would look like if he breaks before I've told him to get off the place. So when he's up there, if I just take a little step back, it was using just a little bit of leash pressure to put him back, for him to understand, even if I step away, even if I step away, I want him to stay up there. And that's why it's important that I put the treat on the place command rather than feed him from my hand. I don't want him to think all of the treats are going away from him. It's giving the treats to him on the place. Good boy. So walking in, feeding him, stepping back, walking in, feeding him, stepping back, walking in, feeding him, stepping back. Okay. Good job, buddy. I'm going to wait a little bit, see what he decides. Him sitting tells me he settled into it rather than standing at the edge. And I actually put the treat off to the side behind him. I don't want to pay him right here at the edge where he's wanting to jump off and come to me and hang away from me a bit. Good boy. Good. Okay. I put Walter up because Walter is at the stage where we are simply loading, having him stay up there for no more than 10 to 15 seconds, releasing him, and we're doing a lot of loading and unloading for the first several sessions. Once the dog starts to understand that's the best place to be, which Louis understands, we can start to walk further away from that dog, expect him to maintain position up there. And when I say maintain position up there, he doesn't have to be in a sit or a down or a stand. I don't care what the position is, as long as he stays up there. He can sit, he can lay down, he can stand up, he can move around. He just can't jump off. So he gets this because he's had some training. So if I go to start to move around, the same thing would happen if he jumped off. I would use my leash, say no, or whatever your word is, and I put him back up there. So he gets, when I move around this, he needs to stay up there and a reward is coming. Again, you want to make sure the rewards are happening up there, including petting and praise. So once you release the dog, good boy, he happily jumps back up there. Good boy, good. It goes fast. I want him to understand. And the next one is, since we've been talking about this, if someone were to come to the door or another family member were around, he should be able to stay up on this place if someone walks by or approaches him. So maybe I could just have somebody just walk straight by. And this time when the person walks by, maybe they could look at the dog and tell him how cute he is. So you start at really low level with the dogs, but if you think about it, we have to spend some time training it, because if we don't do this in small increments, then we expect the dog to hold a place command when guests come over and there's 3 kids and mom and dad and they're squealing. The dog has not been set up to understand. So you start at a lower level distraction and you increase from there. Again, the leash is always on. Because if the dog gets off, I have something to direct him and get him back up on that place quickly. Now, since this dog has some understanding and I'm giving him treats, If I drop the treat on the floor, he's seen me drop 3 treats now and he's staying up there. That's letting me know he's starting to understand. He will wait for reward up there. I will bring the reward to him. Jumping off of the place to get the reward is not an option for this exercise. Good boy. Okay. Another thing with him is this little dog likes the place. Louie, come. I can be way out here and just point to kennel and he'll run to it. That's my lazy way of training because at home, if I direct my dogs to a place or a kennel, I want them to go to it without me having to walk all the way over and put them up on it. In the beginning, you might have to do that. So a dog like Walter, I have to get closer to help him up, whereas a dog like Louie, I can simply point to it. Okay, good boy for you. Good boy, super duper. Once we've been working this for a few days or a week, I'll start to just drop the leash and pick up the leash. Those would be other potential opportunities for the dog to see, oh, they're picking up my leash, I should get off, or oh, they're bending over, I should get off this platform. Nope, I need you to stay up there. If the dog breaks, again, I am using leash pressure to put the dog back up so he understands this is the most comfortable place to be, and this is where all the reward comes from. Good boy. Okay. We got good boy for you. Now, the dog off to the corner over here is Asher, and he's had more training. He still has a long line on during this video, so if he decides to break, he can be corrected back to the place. The place cot, if you look at it, is much lower, and Asher's a really big dog. So think about this to scale. Him stepping off that little tiny cot, he doesn't have to go very far. This little short corgi having to jump off and up onto this, there's a bigger contrast. So it just makes sense to him. I'm using it as a crutch, but if it helps the dog to build understanding more quickly, I'm absolutely fine with that. As he starts to gain understanding, I could use this Cato board without the legs on it. I could go to a cot. Eventually down the road, again, I could go to a rug or a bed, and the dog would get it. So this is what I would call an intermediate dog. His owner, if she has company over and he's put on a place command, he's still gonna break at times, and that's okay. The dog's going to make mistakes. What's important is you follow through and take the dog's leash and put him back up where he was supposed to be. And the other reason I talk to people about using a leash instead of having the dog free in the house doing this is, I don't want the dog to start getting offended when you're trying to get to them in the house and you're going to grab for their collar. They can take that personally, and it's a good way with a fearful dog for them to bite or start to be afraid of your hand. So I always want the leash on the dog so I can use the leash to put the dog back. So he's here. I could drop this leash with his level of understanding. The treats are about 15 feet away. I can actually go off camera, go get the treats, and put another one down. My helper could knock on the wall like somebody was here. So I'm simulating all the things that could happen for him to want to get off. The other thing that could happen is this dog back here, if you pick up his long line, just go put him away, just release him and tell him to come. So with another dog moving, this little dog still stayed up, and I want to reward him for that. So that's really how the place training starts in a nutshell. I use the leash to help the dog go up. I use the leash to correct the dog if he fails and breaks before he's been released. But he's getting treats on this place command. He's getting pets on this place command. So good things are happening up here, and it's for short intervals. The longest I've ever used a place at home, I think, is maybe a half an hour to an hour. but I don't want the dog just living on a place for 3-4 hours a day at home. There's far better things that we can be doing. But if I have to mop the floors, do a load of laundry, have some people coming over, this is fantabulous. So, this is Louie, my little good corgi, and again, he's young. He's about 7 months old, and he's got this. He's great at this. So puppies pick this up really quickly, and it's a good thing to do. I'm gonna grab one more dog right before we leave. All right, this is Maverick. He is 6 or 7 months old right now, and so he likes to play, but I also smell like chicken right now, so he knows there was a bit of food, wasn't there? So if I've been playing with my dog, I want to think about he's going to be excited, and I'm looking to get the dog in that mindset. So think about it. Your dog is in the house, and someone knocks on the door unexpectedly. They're going to get excited. Maybe they bark at the door. You need them to be able to quickly run to the place or put them on their kennel, and they'll stay there. So if he has been playing with me, okay, good boy. If he's been playing with me with this toy, good boy, good boy, good boy for you, good boy for you, good boy for you, good boy for you, super duper, super duper. I still have a leash on me because I don't want him running away from me. Good boy for you, good boy, and out. So I have my leash ready because he was just playing with this, and I don't want to make him fail horribly. But if I drop that toy then, I put him on a kennel. He needs to hold position there. So I'm using this as a temptation of, do you understand? I put you up on this kennel, or this place command, whatever you want to call it, and you need to stay there. Good boy, boy. Okay. Good boy. And then he can have his toy again. So it's working a little on-off switch, that's what I call it. But he's excited, and then he can calm down. So that's another thing you can do, whether it's a ball, whether it's a toy, whether it's food, people, you're just using that. Good boy for you. Good boy for you. He said good boy for you. Oh, we all wrapped up. We're all wrapped up, man. We're all wrapped up, man. Okay, we're a mess. So he's been put up, and I'll walk away from him, and he needs to stay there. So short periods of time, not long periods of time in the beginning, but you're testing the dog. Do they find this a good place to be? So you have to reward them up there. So with him, he likes food and toys. I'll go get him some food for holding up there. Good boy. Good boy. So slowly, you wean off how often you have to give the food. There's nothing wrong with occasionally giving food while they're on the place. Let's say you're eating dinner and they're staying on their place command. I actually, with my own personal dogs, get up from the dinner table maybe every 5 or 10 minutes when they're learning at an intermediate stage, and give them a tidbit of food and then go back to eat. Again, no longer than a half an hour. So hopefully this helps how to get started, very baby, basic steps. And again, if you have questions, if you want to see more of this, if you're unsure of where to start, if your dog won't load, I can help you with that too. I don't have a dog to show today that will not load, but if that's something you need, make sure to comment. So remember to like, subscribe,